Of our summit. So after 3 days of great conversations, what we wanted to do is we just wanted to take a little bit of time to kind of think about what insights have we gained, what are some key messages that we're taking with us, what's inspiring us that we heard, and just thoughts on future directions. So that's the purpose of this last panel. To kickstart our thinking process on these questions, we brought together a great panel from different sectors of the community, someone who's an employer, someone from labor, education, a jurisdictional representative. So let me introduce them to you from your left to right. First gentleman is Gerald Clark, who's Senior Manager, Human Resources of Clark Builders. Dave Cassidy, Skilled Trades National Chair of Unifor. Peter Lawlor, who's Dean of the School of Trades and Heavy Industrial Keyano College, and all three, by the way, are CAF board members. And finally, Royden Traynor, who's the Director of Policy and Programs of the Ontario College of Trades. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, you've got some great support out there. Excellent. So I'm going to engage our panelists on a first question, but then I'm going to invite you to think about and share your thoughts. Okay, so this is meant to be quite interactive. We're hoping to hear from you. I'll tell you right away the kinds of things that we want to hear from you on are, so what stuck with you in the last 3 days? What's something that you consider really important? What challenges do you see on the horizon, and what might that tell us about the 2016 conference themes? That's another question. And then what are you taking forward with you, in terms of what's inspired you and your direction based on what you will have heard? Okay, so those are some of the questions we're inviting you to share your thoughts on. But first, I'm going to ask our panelists to say a word, first about themselves and their work. And then the first question I'm going to ask our panelists to think about and share is, what's resonated with you gentlemen? What's stuck with you from everything that you heard in the past 3 days? What's most resonated with you? All right, so let's start with Gerald.
Thank you. I work for a large general contractor in Western Canada. I manage a team of HR professionals that look after our field staff. I'm a former board member with the Alberta Apprenticeship Board. Our company, Clark Builders, is a strong supporter of apprenticeship and training. We support the board, the apprenticeship initiatives in Alberta with board members, representatives for the local apprenticeship and provincial apprenticeship committees. And we also provide support through the training institutes on their various committees. We have board representation on a great group called Women Building Futures. They provide free trade training for many women. And, it's a great start for those women to get involved in the trades. The board representation on Careers Next Generation, and they're great for. Mic up. Okay.
Let's try that again.
Is that better?
Let's check the mic. Mic's on.
Testing. Oh, mine's working.
That's right. You might have to answer for him.
Yeah, I'll answer for you if you like. Yeah.
Follow the instructions.
Check, 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2.
Here, take mine. I don't need one.
Labor and management working together.
Right on. I just wanted to finish up and saying we also provide board representation on Careers Next Generation, and they're greatly involved with the youth in Alberta and providing a registered apprenticeship program.
Okay, so I am the national chair of Unifor. I'm the labor representative on CAF, and as we call it, the rookie in our organization. So I'm one of the rookies on CAF, and I'm really excited to be part of it because when I first went to my first CAF board meeting this weekend, I got to meet labor and jurisdiction and the educators, and it was a really opened my eyes as to how involved everybody was with the apprenticeships. I know that myself and labor, we represent about 50,000 skilled trades from coast to coast in our organization, and all different sectors, whether it be major auto, whether it be hospitals, the transportation sector. We're involved right across the country. And one of the things that I really liked that resonated with me here, though, was the fact that where all the parties come together and they have the same interests. As I spoke to Gerald, a few times over the course of the last few days, and how involved his company is with apprentices and and engaging the youth, et cetera. I know we have a lot of work to do around it, but that's what really resonated with me as for the different jurisdictions, not just not just the jurisdictions, but the employers and the different groups. A lot of the educators that are here, learning about the apprenticeship program also.
Keyano College is in the heart of the oil sands area, Fort McMurray. We are part of the solution in Alberta. We have apprentices that come to us from all regions in the province in some disciplines. There are many institutions in the province that support the apprenticeship system through technical training, and we contribute to that system across the province. I've been on the board with CAF for about a year now. Prior to that, I've been on other boards as well. Skills Canada Alberta, been involved with them in a big way, both provincially and nationally, and support that movement as well. Also worked with Corrections Canada on a national advisory committee to support training for inmates who were going to be coming out into the system and able to transition into the workforce. So I've been involved in that type of activity. Have a passion for apprenticeship training, and I am a Red Seal certified trades professional.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Royden Traynor, and I'm with the College of Trades, which some of you may mistake on occasion as a punching bag. As we go through the politics of an election. But the college is a year and 4 months old. And really, I know I look a little older, but fundamentally the objective of the college is, and this is what's very powerful to me during the last 3 days, is not just to regulate the trades, which is truly part of its mission, but also to try and to build an understanding that the trades are a profession, that they're not just work that people do, that the trades are a profession, and as all professions do, they have a college which talks about professional integrity, which talks about competence, which talks about those broad issues that really raise the esteem of what acting in the profession really is. And one of the elements of the college that I think is also a very powerful characteristic of it is that it is driven, operated, its governance structure is not of government, it is by the trades, for the trades, but it is to do so in the public interest. So there is always the caveat that it's not just inward looking, it's by its very charter, its demands that it has to look to the broader picture, what is good in the public interest, which, as you may know, is instilled in many like organizations. I know that Nova Scotia has embraced many of the elements of the College of the Trades in creating what they hope to be a more dynamic, more responsive system. And I heard a lot of that in the last few days about the need to be responsive, the need to be innovative, the need to look at new ways of doing things. And so the college, though but a year and a little over a year old, is trying to respond to that need. I should just give you a sense of numbers. The minister used a lot of numbers today. We have in Ontario about 96,000 apprentices, and our apprenticeship this year, in spite of what you may have heard during the election, has increased. It's a double-digit increase this year. It's up 17.5%. So the apprenticeship funnel is continuing to be a very productive one. So many of the issues we heard about today and the last couple of days were about, you know, what's the productivity after that initial intake? And the college is very, very, very interested in that. I guess the point you asked is what resonated with me. I think we've all been to many of these types of conferences together over the years in many different subjects. And very often we have a great conference and everyone's happy because they have identified all the problems. And we've been to lots of those, problem identification conferences. This, I thought, what resonated with me was that we were moving past that. We were coming to problem resolutions, idea resolutions, and looking at a way forward. And to me, that is a fundamental transition. That is a different type of dialogue than we've had in the past. And if you didn't identify today who we were by title or in any of the plenary sessions, I don't think you could tell who was a union, who was a small business owner, who was a large business owner, who necessarily was a jurisdiction, because the language and the level of engagement, to me, seem to be talking about the same thing all the time, and that is a really big shift.
Yep, wonderful, thank you. Thank you, Gerald. So we thought we would do things a little bit differently. Before I go back to our panelists to get more of their thoughts, we wanted to turn it over to you. So I'm inviting you to come, step up to a mic, and the kinds of things we'd like to hear are what resonated with you in the past 3 days? What was it that really struck you or stuck with you in these past 3 days? What do you think some of the themes for 2016 should be based on what you see as important challenges on the horizon? And or maybe simply what inspired you? What's inspiring you moving forward from this conference? And of course, you may have some questions for our panelists. So just please go up to the mic, and we'd love to hear from you. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my name. Oh.
He don't need the mic.
Good. On.
Joe's good.
It's Joe Elworthy. I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm in the transportation sector, generally the skilled trades involved in the buses, but Unifor throughout the country in various capacities and skilled trades, and have sat on a couple of the ITO board, certainly one, the Transita board in British Columbia. But what the panelists are saying here, I think, continues to resonate at conference after conference that we come to here, and I think I've been to every one since the beginning, I should say, and to see it grow and to see the barriers amongst ourselves break down is indeed a wonderful start, a wonderful movement. Some things that bother me more is that it's not moving fast enough. We tend to have the same themes and the same questions that we constantly seek for answers, and somehow or another we've got to celebrate some of the successes that we're achieving over the time from conference to conference, and we've got to showcase that and bring it out. And finally, something that I did find missing, if one has to be, speak highly of certain things, one should be critical of some things. And what I noticed is that how we probably, when I seen those graduating tradespeople receiving their certifications, how wonderful it was, the achievements they've made, the amount of work that had gone in to making that happen, not just by them, but by the employers, by their mentors, by the unions, by the colleges, by all of those people. But the one I don't think that gets enough emphasis on along the way, and should probably be up there with them, are the mentors. The mentors are those people, they are people who come from a tradition of handing down information. Just like a mother teaches a child its language, when we get those apprentices in with us, we teach them not just about the trade, we teach them about life. It's a whole new experience, and what we can give to that is going to be what will improve our statistics with regards to completions, what is going to give us a better tradesperson, and what's going to give us a better human being all around. So I do think a little bit more emphasis on the mentorship. Bring them, showcase them, and I know we've had some, but not enough in my view.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Madam, go ahead.
See, is this working? Okay. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to acknowledge the Algonquin people, whose traditional territory we're in today. I've been really encouraged by the entire event. In particular, have enjoyed the messaging around trades and the maths and the sciences and bringing that all together. The other one that it was really inspiring to me was the remote learning and looking at different types of learning components that could be brought into the entire trades picture. The one piece that was missing was the piece on the work that Aboriginal people are doing to prepare our own people for trades. And across Canada, there's a lot of work that's being done, designed, developed, implemented by the First Nations people, by the Métis people, by urban Aboriginal people. The organization I work for example, using essential skills long before it even became the new trend on the horizon, we have prepared well over 250 plus Aboriginal people through literacy and essential skill development for trades with very high success results. But I have here today with me some colleagues from British Columbia who've done a phenomenal job as well in that regard. I have John Webster, who's right at the front table. Maybe John, you could just give a little wave, you and your colleagues. They've done a fantastic job in BC as well. We also have a number of other asset holders from Ontario and other places across Canada who also are doing a fabulous job of preparing Aboriginal people for trades. So maybe if you could all stand and give a wave. Come on, Trish. Together, we have prepared and supported hundreds and thousands of Aboriginal people in the past 4 years toward trades, and that piece was not recognized here today, but we know it's going to be in Vancouver. So, to all of you who've enriched my learning experience the past couple of days, masi, masi cho.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe Gerald would like to say some words.
I just wanted to respond that I sat in on the presentation put on by ABO, Aboriginal Apprenticeship Board of Ontario, and their presentation really resonated with me. They're doing a great job building relationships with their stakeholders through trust and transparency, commitment and collaboration, and I like their priorities that they have. Increase awareness throughout their people for apprenticeship and skilled trades positions. You spoke of mentoring. They want to develop mentoring processes within their group, and they want to increase the youth participation in their group. It was an excellent presentation.
Excellent, thank you. Yes,
I sat in on that session as well, and I have to tell you, it impressed the heck out of me, particularly, and it's a good example of where innovation is necessity is the mother of invention. They received no government funding at all, and yet the system that they have built, and here's where it's a great opportunity for us to be a learning community. What they're doing, what that organization is doing to connect with its community and mentor, proctor, support, bring apprentices and employers together and support them through the process is something actually that as terrific and powerful as it is, I think, for the Aboriginal community, it's a model that I think that would work for everybody, and it's something that they have to teach us. So it was interesting, and they probably did it because they didn't have any government funding. Jason Kenney didn't tell them to do it; they just did it because they needed to do it. It was very impressive.
Great, Peter. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I made some notes around some of the things you talked about a little bit earlier around this notion of collaboration that's taking place irrespective of our regional or jurisdictional differences, and there are pockets of innovative and creative activities going on across the country here that can be and will be applied in other regions, and and I see the discussion and dialogue between secondary and post-secondary education, working together to address those issues related to pathways and perceptions around trades and trade careers. And also those jurisdictions that are willing to work together to find ways for recognizing credentialing across the country. So if nothing else, we're driving the this notion of collaboration across borders and across jurisdictions through this activity, which is really exciting, actually.
Okay, excellent. And by the way, gentlemen, just jump in any time. I'll go back to the floor, and then I encourage you to just jump in any time. Sir, go ahead.
Don't be jumping in on me. Pat Blackwood, I was a past board chair, 7 years on CAF. I am currently the vice chair of the Ontario College of Trades. I would just like to thank CAF for once again putting on an excellent apprenticeship conference. 2 years ago, when we lost our federal funding, we got together, went to a support model, changed the model of the board, which to me was a bad thing at the time because we really lost the continuity of all the different provinces having representation on that board. But the board has done a great job at a smaller number, and the staff continues to do a great job. And without the support of the members in this room, the champions, the supporters, the patrons, CAF would not exist today, along with the support of the provinces such as New Brunswick, who put on a lot of projects for CAF and gave them some funding to do projects. The federal government, as announced today, gave some money for some projects. That's what's keeping CAF alive and allowing us to do the work that we do for apprenticeship. Now, one of the things I learned in this room today is we got a lot of people all think great about apprenticeship. We're all educators, workers, employers, colleges, and unions, non-unions. We all work together because we see the good in apprenticeship. We see that it is a career. It does create a career for a young person. It puts food on the table, allows them to start a family, and those are the good things about it. But what I heard today was, and I found out this weekend, is that we lost a very important, integral part of one of our supporters, which is apprenticeship.com. I found out today, and it had to come to Ottawa to find out, but they lost their funding from the provincial government in Ontario. And the sad part about that is they didn't get enough warning like we did. We had a year's warning where we had an opportunity to come up with another model. So if you see somewhere down the road apprenticeship.com change their structure, they're changing their structure to try and stay in business. But when I was on my job as a director for skilled trades, I got letters every week from kids looking for apprenticeship opportunities. And I always sent them to apprenticeship.com because they actually bring the employer and the apprentices together. They did a good service, not only for Ontario, but they were trying to expand across Canada, which would have been a great thing. But they did lose their funding. I just wanted to make note of that. Everybody in this room knows that. And anybody in this room that's not a member of CAF, I urge you to go out to the booth, the CAF booth, get a membership application, go back to your employer, and become a member of CAF, because this is good for youth, it's good for this country, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Madam.
Yes, hello everybody, and my name's Edith Ferrier. I'm one of the new enforcement officers with the College of Trades, out there trying to bring more people into compliance when they are engaging in compulsory trade work. So it's my first time coming to one of your conferences, and I've really enjoyed meeting everybody and interacting with all these people. They brought a wealth of knowledge to me, and I can go back and share with everyone. But one of my concerns is that I am interested in being a mentor. I did come here hopefully with the intent to try to inspire and share some of my stories. As I'm the first female plumber to work on the Sky Dome, I feel like I'm a pioneer, and that's something to be proud of, and I'd like to share with other young youth, but primarily females, to encourage them to become, to consider the trades, the skilled trades. And so I'm hopefully you'll take that in consideration, and your next conference will include more of these workshops with the youth and interacting and mentoring. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, madam, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carol McLeod. I'm Executive Director of the National Electrical Trade Council. I really appreciated the initial presentation by Mark Breslin. I think it helped focus in terms of the big picture on what the real challenges are. basically how to adapt without running out of runway, how to do it as quickly as possible. And with that context, I went through the conference trying to look at what could actually fast track, you know, a lot, people on a solution path towards where we need to be, whether it's harmonization or outreach to different groups, whatever. And I think my conclusion out of all of this is that there is tremendous, tremendous potential in the online blended learning. I've been fascinated with that for quite a while. My organization will be exploring that very, very specifically. But I think it has the opportunity to create a paradigm shift. Because what we really need in this country is we have national standards. If you're actually going to break down these 13 different jurisdictions, we need national curriculum. And that's always been a fairly heretical statement because there's so many challenges to bringing that about.
Not anymore.
But if you move to a different platform in an online world and understanding the expense to deliver, to actually develop something like that properly, there's a real return on investment to working together nationally to facilitate that. Even if it's some baby steps forward. I took in the presentation from SAIT, which was well done. I did not have the opportunity to take in the online learning presentation through the College of the North Atlantic. But I think everybody's moving, and if everybody continues this path of just doing their own investments, we might not be able to take advantage and leverage this opportunity. Somehow, online blended learning can be a big part of the future, and I encourage everybody to start looking at that in terms of thinking about how we can flesh that out as being a big part of the solutions to a lot of the issues that we're all very, very well aware of. But we have to start focusing on something to pull us forward together.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Dave.
So just off that a little bit, I mean, one thing that really, as we went through the last couple of days, I really noticed about the, mobilization that scares me when I know that I have young children and what they're going to do, where they're going to have to go. I know the forestry sector, in one of their concurrent sessions, had the fact that, you'll go home at night. And then there was others from, Fort Mac in Alberta and that you're in for a certain amount of days and then out for a certain amount of days. And those are some things that scare a lot of people. I mean, for no fault of their own, as an apprentice that might potentially lose their job in a different province and not have the mobility to be able to move across. I mean, ultimately, our goal would be in the jurisdictions, hopefully someday, is to have the Pan-Canadian Apprenticeship Program, which would take us right across, and then we wouldn't have all the, red tape, et cetera. And the fact is that whether you're a journey person, an apprentice in Ontario or apprentice in Alberta, your curriculum, et cetera, is the same. So, I mean, those are some of the things, hopefully that we can move forward and change as we move forward.
Okay. Peter.
Do you know what I found really exciting? And that's, I think, the work that CAF's been doing to advocate for apprenticeship across the country. I wrote a little note here that says, there are some politicians and leaders who now get it. And I think they get it because of the work that we've been doing to promote and advocate for skilled trades training and apprenticeship across this country. So you know what, we're doing the right thing when we get people like Minister Kenney here who can speak articulately about apprenticeship and about trades training.
So, gentlemen, let me ask you a question then. What do you see as some of the upcoming challenges that should inspire our thinking in terms of our themes for our next gathering in 2016? And I'll just invite any one of you to jump in.
So some of my observations, we still have a lack of understanding with respect to, on the part of parents, teachers, counselors, and students with respect to the opportunities that are available to them with respect to trades careers. And we still have to do a lot of work in that area, and Minister Kenney talked about this culture we've created because of the systems we've set up. We need to be able to influence the influencers, and I think that's going to be a big part of the work that we need to do moving forward. It's really sad when you see students in school, the secondary school system, they fail forward to the shop class, right? If you can't do anything else, we're going to send you to shop, which is really what we haven't heard, that the technology and the math and the science required in many of the trades now is well in advance of some disciplines, even at university level. So that's one piece. Another piece that I think we need to wrestle with is the reactive nature of the apprenticeship system, where we don't do a really good job doing any strategic planning or thinking around what the needs are for that workforce. And it ends up being counter-cyclical with the economic activity because we try and react after the fact. And so I think we need to try and work towards a method where we can gather really good data and really good information to allow us to work with industry to predict those skill sets that they're going to need down the road and then begin developing those skill sets in advance of the need.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Anyone else on challenges and upcoming themes?
Well, what I...
You have a magnet in your pocket there or something?
Exactly.
Excellent.
What I would see looking out into 2016, I would see our apprenticeship brand as highly sought after in our society. We need to be able to shift the views of our young people, and we do a better job communicating our apprenticeship brand. We need to consider our audience. We need to have an effective message when we're speaking about our trade. We need to talk about our success stories. Apprenticeship is truly successful. Look at all the great people that it's created and all the good people that are working and building our country. Yeah, we just need to do a better job to improve the communication and education of our new apprentices and youth and new Canadians and all those people.
Okay, thank you. Anything to add?
I would say the great news is that, in fact, we do have the attention of national and provincial politicians. That's the great news. It's also the great danger, right? And so when we start talking about performance measures, which might not actually be real performance measures, I just think one of the challenges us is now we've got the attention. We've waved the red flag. The bull now has our attention. We just have to make sure it gets to where it ought to go. And one of the things that I was, again, very struck by this meeting today, or the last 3 days, is that there was very, very, very little finger pointing, as often there is. And so while Minister Kenny spoke eloquently and fluently on this topic, which inspires me very much, the reference that there are the egghead know-it-alls that are trying to, that kind of class warfare, societal elite stuff, I actually think that's politicalism creeping into the dialogue, which I don't think we need. I don't think we should get suckered into that. It's for something else. It's got nothing to do. We are having a very productive dialogue. I think the universities are getting it. I think our policy folks are getting it, and I think we need to keep the dialogue very engaged and very positive. Finally, the last piece that I thought may be very interesting when I'm looking at our own experience, and when I look at of setting up the College of Trades, I look at what Nova Scotia is trying to do, is doing, and other jurisdictions as well, is that there would be an opportunity for us in next year to do a lot of thinking and prodding and learning about how engagement can be very productive. How can just having a board of directors that happens to come from the trades doesn't necessarily guarantee that you make good decisions just because it's not a bureaucrat making the decision. So I think there is something for us all to learn, and even in our own experience, we have discovered engagement, consultation, and then when you finish it, you need to do it again. We learn something every single time. We come up with a solution. There is wisdom in the crowd. There was solutions out there that no group of 16 people could ever come up with on their own. it's that, so the way of reaching out, I think is something that we really have to mature and exploit and learn from each other and leverage, because just making it an industry-based board doesn't automatically mean that you're responsive to industry. It doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be timely. So I think everybody is struggling with it, and I think there's some work that we can do together in making that, the expectations of all around those issues be real.
So no one is as smart as all of us.
That's right. Exactly right.
Peter, did you want to?
I think there's someone at the mic
Okay,
there.
let's go to the mic.
Thank you. Dave Cease. I won't go any further with that. I think I've been at the mic a few times. Building on, I think, Peter, when you talk about strategy, exactly, Royden, what you're talking about now, what we heard from Mark is what do we do different when we leave these things, and how do we show up different? How do we work? And somebody needs to take a hold and take charge. And one of the interesting, I had an opportunity to facilitate the completions count rising apprenticeship completion rates. And Carol McLeod, I'm not sure where she went, she spoke there, and there was a lot of good information. And I think one of the things we hear at these conferences, and this is my third, is we're all doing a lot of great stuff. We're actually doing it in isolation to each other, and we're the ones passionate and engaged in this conversation. So when you think about how we started yesterday with Mark and what he challenged us to is, if somebody's working on developing something, whether it's labor, non-labor, construction, provincial, jurisdictional, whatever, how do we collectively harness that somewhere where if I know my challenge is trying to develop a corporate strategy that has to work in many jurisdictions across Canada and yet roll up to be able to look at completions and all those nice metrics across. Why would call me lazy, call me cheap, but why would I want to go out and reinvent the wheels for each piece of that framework when there's so much expertise in the room, but how you access it other than the networking that we did have a chance to do here? So I think if somebody's going to, if there was a database where somebody said, well, who's doing a real good job of workforce planning? I think Peter talking about from the strategic perspective. Well, you could network and actually somehow connect people to different pieces of the apprenticeship framework and to the skilled trades and the training and essential skills and women in trades initiatives. I think, because other than Googling and searching and knowing somebody that knows somebody, it's not an easy go. So I think there's an opportunity for us. I'm looking at our executive director, and I see her pen moving. But I really think, as we leave here, it's something to think about, and maybe from the CAF perspective, maybe that's something we can make an initiative and see what we can launch.
Great, thank you. So a good segue maybe to my last question for you gentlemen, and again, I'll open the floor to all of you in a moment. What is something that has inspired you in terms of your path forward? Of how you think we can move forward collectively, or how you can move forward collectively, something that you would do differently as a result of what you heard, just something that inspired you generally. Any one of you?
Well, I would say, taking off from Dave's point, what is inspiring is that there is it's absolutely clear that there is a solution for every problem. That's absolutely clear. And there are I think what Dave is going, and I have been struggling with the same idea. Every session I went to that I've been here, and I've had the largest contingent from our college to ever. I've doubled or tripled the amount of people that come because I think it's that important for us. But every session I went to, I said, damn it, that's exactly what I need to know. I've got to go and apply that, and I hope to God that somebody else from my other team was at another one of the sessions picking up the same sort of thing. So how do we make that learning institutional as opposed to accidental in this case? So, but the inspiration part is that it's a little reminder to us all, particularly when we do our work. We get into our work and away we go in our email and all that, and I'm going to solve this problem. We forget that someone else probably has. And if we find that way, that connection, and there's been I heard 100 different solutions for problems and challenges I face, and that is inspiring. I just got to connect it with it.
Okay, Peter, your thoughts?
So I will share with you from my experience working with trades folks that when a problem is presented, their brains switch into solution mode right away. I don't know if how many have experienced that? which is a little different than some other folks that I've worked with. And what really is inspiring to me is that that same mentality and that same belief and that same activity happens here. So when we get together, and you talked about it earlier, we don't just talk about the problems, right? We already know the problems. What we need is solutions. And the folks here that came here talked about solutions and provided different ways and different thinking, which is what tradespeople do. Whenever there is a challenge, they flip it into solutions mode and they go and get it done and they make it happen. And that's what we're doing here, which is really exciting.
Great, great. Thank you. Dave?
Well, I know yesterday on one of the panels, somebody spoke about, we're not doing it fast enough, et cetera. I mean, it's a start. I mean, even the harmonization, in the East, it's a start. It's somewhere where we have to start. And, kudos to them for taking the initiative to move that forward. Do we have a lot of work to do? Sure we do. Are we going to keep plowing forward on it? Absolutely. There's so many resources that we can utilize. I mean, even our own apprenticeship program that I'm involved with, with our union, we're going to go back and we're going to assess it. I mean, one of our women, she presented here, Terry, and she, we promote women. We promote women in our union. We promote women to get involved in trades, yet we still have that stigma or we don't have the women that come and get involved. We've made it, available so that the testing, everything gives them the equal opportunity to become involved, yet we still can't encourage them. So we're going to, reassess it and see what we can do moving forward, because we do have a lot of apprentices across the country in the different sectors. So from this, I've learned a lot from this. I mean, it's not my first time at the CAF, but it's my first time here as a board member, and I've learned a lot from, engaging with a lot of the educators and a lot of the jurisdictions that I wasn't aware of in the different provinces.
Great, that's what it's all about. And Gerald, let's see if your mic works.
Does it work?
There you go.
Throughout the weekend, we heard of collaboration at the summit and the networking, and I think we all, as we leave here today, we all need to continue to build on the relationships with all of our stakeholders. We need to be industry champions for the apprenticeship. We need to be supporters of apprentices, and just continue to tell the really good stories that are out there.
Yep, absolutely great. Thank you. So I'm going to open the floor to any of you. Insights, future direction, thoughts for 2016. Go ahead, madam.
Okay, Gwyneth Lawlor speaking. We've talked a lot about the need for a national strategy, the need for national standards, national curriculum, national mobility. And I think it's such a strong theme that we have to figure out a way to move it forward. So in industry, we talk about if something's important enough, we put together a rapid results team. So instead of trying to work it off the side of our desk, we put some dedicated people in a room and tell them they can't leave until they come up with a solution. Yesterday I commented to Ray Massey that he must have a 16-sided desk because he works so many things off the side of his desk. How can he possibly not have 16 sides to his desk? In doing that, I guess my question to you is, how many people would it take? How much time would it take? And how much money would it take to do that? And wouldn't it be nice if we asked CAF to facilitate that whole endeavor? So we go to the provinces for some money, maybe the feds. Industry kicks in some money to fund it once you figure out what it's going to take. We get a nice neutral party like CAF to just provide facilitation and pulling everything together, so that when you have your experts in the room and those experts are pouring out everything that they have, someone else is capturing it and rolling it up and doing that type of thing. I don't know.
It's a tough question. Any thoughts from any of our panelists?
Well, I don't like the idea of being locked in a room until they get something done. Well, maybe that happens every day anyway.
Well, I guess I would say a couple things about that. I think that I think the harmonization initiative has great legs, and it's going somewhere. And I think that 2 years ago, you wouldn't be even having the conversation. You know, I took it to my board, for instance. We had a great engagement, and there was unanimous support to proceed with that. So, and again, I don't think that would have happened a couple of years ago. But with respect to resources, this is from the inside, from a college which develops standards trades. You know, there is a national standard, and it's called the Red Seal, and the NOA system. But we spend in our own shop, we develop our own curriculum standards and our own training standards. We're going to spend that money anyway, in reality. So I think the opportunity is that I think there is going to be a transitional cost. There's no doubt about that. One of the challenges will be with respect to the college piece, particularly the classroom piece, and if you're adjusting those hours and all of that sort of stuff. But in my envisioning of this is that I would look at the sequencing of how we are doing our own standards and curriculum renewal anyway, and that cycle, which we invest enormous amount of resources in, and how can I plug that cycle into what would be a national cycle, get in behind that wake. In the long run, I actually think it's going to save my organization money on developing curriculum and the standards, and to which we can be redirected to practical exams, accommodations, and other things. The upfront is going to be costly. The mid to long term is going to be a much more efficient, better system, I believe, and ultimately I'll have more trade standards that are more up to date and more reflective of a national standard than if I quadrupled my budget now.
Okay, good. Thank you. Go ahead, Dave.
So being from Ontario, obviously, you know, the Ontario College of Trades is obviously involved with us, and as I look at it, we've been promoting the Ontario College of Trades, our union, since 2009. With the Whitaker and the Armstrong report. And I think that it was important, you know, that we push that forward, you know, trades for the trades kind of, you know, process. And I know as other jurisdictions and other provinces go through it, I know BC's going through a transition right now with their ITAs and their ITOs. And, you know, potentially we can develop off of the whole issue of the Ontario College of Trades. Now, do we have some growing pains? Sure we do. Is there a lot of, you know, as you say with the election coming up, there's a lot of, you know, highlights around it right now. And, you know, just if we can look at certain different areas, the different jurisdictions, and potentially model something moving forward, and I think we can make progress that way.
Okay. I'm just going to do a bit of a time check. We've got about 9 minutes. How many folks have comments? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'll ask you to be brief with your comments. Sir, I believe you're there first. Go ahead.
Jim Wright with the Ontario Construction Secretariat. One of the great things about this forum is the sharing of information and the amount that we can talk about province to province and see what's happening across the country, which I think is a great way to do things. We also hear the terms quite a bit. Let's engage the youth. Okay, but one thing we don't do is engage the youth. And by that I mean each province has probably got a way to promote to them. And that's what I'd like to hear. How do you in British Columbia, Newfoundland, Northwest Territories, how do you promote to the youth so that they know what an apprenticeship is? Do you have programs? Do you have trade fairs, career fairs? What is it that it takes to get them to understand what an apprenticeship is and then engagement? That is what I'd like to hear from.
Okay, thank you, sir. We've got 3 more comments. Go ahead, sir.
Alan Bruce, I've been involved since the inception of CAF, and I really congratulate the people that continued this on and are doing all the good work. I think that there's more work, though, to be done on the employer side. Once we engage the youth, once we create the training spaces and the jobs aren't there for the people to move forward, there could be a lot of damage done to the credibility of apprenticeship and trades training if that link isn't there. And excuse me, CAF has done some great work. The best practices for employers and such, but apprenticeship is a collective activity, and entrepreneurship and collectivity don't always work well together and don't. So I think the business models of employers have to be looked at and encourage more employers to participate, because we do need the positions once we've got the people engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, yes, sir, go ahead.
Is this on? Yeah. Danny Bradford, and I'm from the National Union of Public and General Employees. I'm also a past member of the CAF board. I think that CAF and everybody in this room, being unions, employers, everybody involved, I think has done a marvelous job over the last number of years. The one thing that I agree so much, and my brother Alan there, he just basically spoke on what was going to be my point, is that I think youth across this country are engaged. There is no doubt. I was fortunate enough this morning to be able to sit with the students that came through, and that was a marvelous project that was put in place. And those youth already in grade 9, 10, 11, 12 are engaged. There are a big number of I guess I would call them graduates out of our pre-apprenticeship programs all across this country that were engaged. Their parents were very proud that they were taking these pre-apprenticeship programs. And unfortunately, as Ellen has said, apprenticeship in Canada gets a bad name when our students go out and take these pre-apprenticeship courses and are totally engaged, but then all of a sudden they're told, I'm sorry, there's no jobs. All right, and we wonder why those numbers get counted later on as numbers that aren't completions, because they're already registered in the system. And so as a result, how can you have a completion if you can't get a job? And them youth are not going to sit around and wait for a number of years to be able to go, so they move on. So I think one of the themes we need in the future is that in a CAF conference is we've done an unbelievable job as CAF, and the theme needs to be how can young Canadians and those wanting to get into apprenticeship find jobs and apprenticeships?
Okay, certainly a common theme. All right, so one more comment from the floor and we'll wrap up.
Wendy Ains-Hirscher from the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation. We're one of the 4 teachers' unions in Ontario. I wrote a paper for my executive a couple months ago saying we need to belong to the Canadian Apprenticeship Forum. So I'm a brand new newbie to CAF and to the conference. And one of the things I'm going to take back to my organization is that we also need to do more promoting of the trades with our own teachers. And I wrote an article for our magazine a couple of years ago called In Praise of Trades. I mean, the article was called In Praise of Trades. It's in Education Forum, our magazine, after I had read Matthew Crawford's book. And so, I mean, I'm there, but I need to get my colleagues there. And I think we all can reach out in our own provinces to the teachers' unions, to the subject associations, which are the groups of teachers in any particular subject, like the tech teachers and the science teachers and the math teachers and that sort of thing. I'm going to be promoting that. And to the parent organizations. In Ontario, we've got Parents for Education, we've got home and school associations, that sort of thing. That's where you can start, I think, planting seeds of information and that sort of thing. That said, the last 2 comments also, I have a guidance teacher on one of my committees, and she said, yeah, we have been promoting apprenticeships, and they can't find positions. And so they've told us ease off a bit on that and have them go to college. But again, we all, if we're working together, the last thing I want to say is the other piece I'm going to take back is that I forget which speaker it was, they said that in, I think, France, the tech teachers, get a technical baccalaureate. And to raise the profile of tech teachers, I think, is also very important. On the first day, I spoke about my concern about the fact that faculties in Ontario are getting out of the tech teacher business because of the changes they're making to the tech education. So that's also something on my plate that I'm working on, and it has long stuck in my craw that tech teachers are not afforded the same kind of respect that any other teacher with a degree has, and that's something I continue to work on as well. So those are my comments.
Thank you very much. And there's no shortage of enthusiasm in this room. It's great. Yes, go ahead.
Just capitalizing on that comment, I would like to share with you that if we want to change the way we see things and how the world sees us, we need to change the way we speak. And there tends to be this notion that even though trades, technical training is post-secondary, it's not considered to be academic, which is actually not the case. And I think we need to be changing that notion through language, so when people say academics and trades, that's actually not true. Academics includes trades. Yeah. And so I've been using, and it's probably going to get me into a lot of trouble, but I've been saying trades and non-trades when I speak about programming, because that shift has to take place in the language we use. And if we don't do that, it'll be continue to be academics and trades, and in fact, it's post-secondary, it's academic training on both sides, and teaching and learning. And so I would encourage us to begin to use different language. Yeah. And I'm also very much in favor of using language, rather than journey person, I'd like to begin using words and terms like certified trades professionals. We are certified trades professionals. We need to use that language when we speak about those people who are in post-secondary education and taking training in post-secondary.
There's no doubt that language is very important and influential, yeah. Well, we're going to have to wrap up. Unless either of you gentlemen have a last thought, I'm going to ask you to please join me in thanking them for participating in this panel. Thank you very much, gentlemen.